Hello, my name's Will Millard. I'm a TV presenter and a very proud ambassador of World Fish Migration Day. World Fish Migration Day is an annual global celebration of all of the migratory fish species on the planet. Where I live, here in Wales, that includes fish like the sea trout, the salmon, the European eel, the sea lamprey, the shad, all of these incredible fish species, some of which you probably know of and some of which you probably don't. And what's fantastic about World Fish Migration Day, it's a real opportunity to get to know some of the fish that maybe you don't know that much about. My favourite migratory fish species, man, if I had to pick one, it's probably the sea lamprey actually. I saw one recently in the River Taff in Cardiff and I was fishing and it literally swam between my legs. It was as thick as my arm and almost as long. It's got this big, almost snub-like nose, big eel shape, very, very thick, and then it's got this pad of serrated teeth. It is just the most extraordinary animal and we still know so little about it. But sadly, migratory fish species are under threat around the world through damming, through pollution, through water extraction. So one of the things that we can do as kind of members of the public is make sure that we put pressure on companies in our country, you know, whether it's water companies that are dealing with sewage or whether it's big agricultural companies that have got pollutants, that we make sure that they do not go into our river systems because it has such an impact on the fish that live there. As well, we need to be trying to remove lots of our old barriers, you know, old weirs that can be 100, 150 years old, but are absolutely stopping those remarkable animals from completing their life cycles. And then for us, just as people, we cannot be doing things that are polluting those water environments. You know, we need to make sure that we're not putting plastics, wet wipes down the toilet, chucking things into the river, you know, finish your drink bottle and throw it into the river. Do not do that. It will stay there forever. Even if you can't see it because the water's murky, it's there. The amount of times that friends of mine have gone out there and made freshwater films along the bottom of rivers and filmed plastics, it is beyond a disgrace. So we've got to do everything we can to make these environments as rich and as pristine and as healthy as we possibly can, because the lives of these amazing fish literally depend on it. Thanks guys, have a great World Fish Migration Day.
Bore da pawb, my name's Gareth. I work for South East Wales Rivers Trust. My favourite UK fish species is the European eel, Anguilla anguilla. Red listed, critically endangered. Lost about 95% of the UK population. I'll post a link in the comments below if you want to find out more about the amazing life cycle of the European eel. As far as my favourite patch of fresh water to watch wildlife in the UK, have a little look at this by the River Taff in Rada in Cardiff. Lovely bit of river. Grey wagtails, dippers, herons, goosander, cormorant, trout, salmon, eels. Just over to my right there is Forest Farm Nature Reserve, a real haven for wildlife in the heart of the capital of Wales. How can we do more? Volunteer for your local Rivers Trust. We got a short course in river restoration on at the moment. Have a look at our website for more information.
Hello, it's Yola Williams here. Now what's my favourite fish? Well, that would have to be the brown trout. I used to catch him when I was a kid with a fishing rod and with my hands. It's a beautiful and very underrated fish, I think. My favourite bit of water, well, let me show you this. This is the Rheidol behind me here. See all the waterfalls there? This is the Rheidol River. Goes out into the sea at Aberystwyth, goes right up into the mountains. It's surrounded by stunning woodlands, so it'll have to be the Rheidol. And finally, what can we all do to help? Well, a couple of things. The rain has come now. This is Wales after all. One thing is, write to your local MP, tell him you're fed up with our rivers being polluted, and also stop throwing rubbish and plastic everywhere. Two simple things we can all do.
Hi, my name's Harriet from West Wales Rivers Trust, and this World Fish Migration Day I'd like to give a shout out to my favourite migratory species, the European eel. It's my favourite because it has the most fantastic life cycle. It's thought to spawn, but we don't know for sure, in the Sargasso Sea. When it's born, it's a leaf shape, a translucent leaf shape, and it travels all the way over to Europe, drifting on the top of the currents. And when it gets to Europe, it starts to sense fresh water and turns into the more of the eel shape that we know. Still translucent, and then darkens up as it eats, and then after sort of up to 70 years, which is a huge amount of time, it then goes all the way back to the Sargasso Sea to spawn. So it's absolutely fantastic life cycle. It's one of the best, I think, of all species that we have here. My favourite place to watch wildlife would be areas where I think that no one's been for quite a long time. So the stretches of upland river that you've got to fight through brambles to get to, they're the most magical, because you could be seeing that stretch for the first time in sort of 5-10 years, which is amazing, I think. I believe that the main way we can help our migratory species and our rivers as a whole, other than to try and reduce pollution where we can, is to open up rivers by taking away weirs and other man-made obstacles to allow free movement. The other way is to give rivers space to move where we can and allow them to be messy and untidy as nature intended.
Well, I love all freshwater fish, and from day to day it changes, but predominantly it is the grayling. They are my favourite freshwater fish. I'm not going to find any down in that canal, however they are a keystone river species. Now, what is it about them? They've got this beautiful sail-like dorsal fin. Particularly during the spring, the males have phenomenal colours, like a palette, the mauves, the blues, the reds. They are gorgeous. They toe the line between game and coarse fish. But for me, it's the fact that they are a canary in the mine. If you have grayling in your river, then that means that your river has got to have fantastic water quality. And if the grayling all go belly up, then you know there is something wrong. So there is only one favourite fish for me, and that is the grayling. Quite lucky that I've been to quite a few freshwater places. The Welsh Dee was one of my favourites, as is the Spey in Scotland. But if there was one river that I would have to pick, I'm going to have to go with popular opinion and go the River Test down in southern England. It's a chalk stream. It has an incredible wealth of diversity in the lower reaches with lots of coarse fish, and obviously further up you get good numbers of grayling, trout and the occasional salmon. The river itself is just so picturesque, all the ranunculus flowing through it, gin clear waters in the right conditions, and I've had some fantastic days on this. So the River Test is probably my favourite place to be. So what can we do to help our rivers? Well, there's quite a few things, and the first port of call is join your local Rivers Trust. Whether it's volunteering, whether it's helping out in any way that you can, nearly every corner of England, Wales and Scotland has a Rivers Trust, and they're all fantastic grassroots charities, so help them if you can. Secondly, make sure that you're not flushing anything that shouldn't be going down the toilet. That's what causes the blockages in the sewage pipes, and when you get blockages, that's then what goes into your river, and that's where all the sewage ends up. So only flush things that are supposed to go down the toilet. Thirdly, get out as much as you can. The more people that are out enjoying our rivers, whether they're bird watching, angling, boating, kayaking, paddle boarding, any kind of activity along our rivers, you're all eyes and ears and you're looking out for the river, showing that people are using it. And of course, if there's a problem, the more eyes on the waterway, the more people to see that there's something wrong and hopefully get something done.
Hi, I'm Calden. I'm 10 and I live in Wales. And I'm doing a video for National World Fish Migration Day. My favourite river fish is the stickleback, because it's cool to find when you're pond dipping. My favourite place to go look at nature is the wetlands, Newport Wetlands, because it has lots of cool birds there. And we could all help the rivers by not littering. Bye for now!
My name is Anthony Rees and I'm Chairman and Director of the South East Wales Rivers Trust, which was formed 10 to 11 years ago to improve the industrial valleys of the South East Wales. Over my lifetime I've been asked many times what my favourite fish species is, and I think in coarse fishing that the perch and the tench are the species that intrigue me the most. While in the field where the Trust is now working on the salmon and the eel are the fish that have become the species that I have to come to admire. They both have lives that are challenging to say the least. The salmon that we see jumping what look like impassable falls is the most visible, while the eel in a way has the most secretive existence. When looking at the life cycle of both, I think I must say that the eel, from the point of view that we still know very little of its life cycle, when it goes back to the Saragossa Sea to breed. Some of my favourite places to watch these fish and wildlife are in the South Wales valleys where I grew up. I've only really ever fished in Wales, so most of my fishing, by default, my wildlife watching has been carried out there. When I started fishing in the River Taff below Merthyr Tydfil, it was unfishable as we see it today, and the wildlife it supports. I must say the Taff Valley and surrounding areas do give me a buzz. How can you help? You can all do more to help by supporting the work wherever you live of those organisations such as the Rivers Trusts that are doing so much to improve the rivers in your area, to increase the biodiversity that we would like our future generations to be able to see.